Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Would you look at the time? It's already December. That means I'm afraid I'm going to have to use the C word. Yes, that word that some people love to use and others cannot bear to hear. I apologise for any offence I may cause here, but it is absolutely time to start thinking about my work Christmas party. Of course, as I'm self-employed, work from home and don't have any staff, my work Christmas party is actually just a house party where I invite my mates around, and because I love a busman's holiday, we play board games. The only real difference between this so-called party and any other gaming session is I tend to pick out games that don't normally see table time in regular rotation. Games that I would consider to be more party games, like the glorious Snake Oil, 5 Minute Marvel, and Tajemnice Domosvo, or Mysterium if you prefer. And so, as the big day looms, I start to shortlist the games I plan to put on the table for my friends. Normally we play Avalon. It's a decent hidden role game with traitor mechanisms. However, we have played it a fair bit and I am always interested in looking for alternatives, which brings us to the point of this video, Hoax. More specifically, the 2015 Fantasy Flight Games edition of Hoax, which re-implements the original game from 1981 and wraps it in a modern theme. My wife bought this for me in a job lot of cheap second-hand games, and I think it will be a good choice. It plays from 3 to 6 players and is light and frothy enough that you can wrap up a game in well under 30 minutes. The idea is that players, who all have secret identities, are attempting to inherit the wealth of a famous tycoon. They will do this by impersonating other roles and uncovering the secret identities of their rivals to eliminate them. At the start of the game, each player is given a random character card, which they keep secret. This is their identity. Play then proceeds in rounds. On their turn, a player has access to 3 different types of action which they can play in any order. Once per turn, they can claim they are a character and use that character's ability. A player can claim to be any character they want, but fibbing comes with a risk, as any player has the right to call Hoax, which we will talk about more in a moment. Each character's ability allows the claiming of resources in different combinations: cash, prestige, or evidence. These resources are essential for the second potential action, Investigate. A player can perform an Investigate action as many times as they can afford to. They spend 1 resource of each type, returning the tokens to the resource pool, and then select another player. The targeted player takes a deck of suspicion cards and removes the card that matches their identity. Then they randomly remove 3 additional cards, look at them, shuffle the 3 random cards with their own identity card, and pass those 4 cards to the player performing the investigation. That player looks at the cards in secret and then returns them to the suspicion deck. Performing investigations is useful for 2 reasons. Firstly, because each investigation action forces the target to reveal the card matching their identity along with 3 random cards, performing repeat investigations on the same player makes it possible for you to start identifying their true identity so you can make an accusation against them. Additionally, if that target subsequently makes a claim action and picks an identity that wasn't one of the 4 they showed you, you can call Hoax, safe in the knowledge they are lying. This will deny that player options later in the game. The third action a player can do on their turn is accuse a player in an attempt to reveal their identity. They can do this only once on their turn, and they should do this with great care. To make an accusation, take the suspicion deck, remove the card that you think matches your target's identity, and show it to them. If you are correct, your target says yes and is eliminated from the game, without revealing their identity to anyone else. All their resources now belong to you. But if you are incorrect, they say no, and you are eliminated from the game. And that's pretty much it, except for 2 extra wrinkles in the rules. When players are making a claim, any other player is allowed to call Hoax. When this happens, the game is paused while the other players vote on whether the active player is a big ol' fibber. If the majority of players think the active player is being truthful, the active player continues their claim action as normal. If the majority of players think the active player is making a false claim, the active player must say if they were being truthful or not. If they were lying, they place an imposter token on their reference sheet next to the character they were claiming to be. They are not allowed to claim to be that character for the rest of the game, and everybody else is 1 step closer to revealing that player's true identity. However, and this is the important bit, this is why you can't just go around accusing everyone. If the active player was telling the truth, they instantly win the game. So it's a good idea not to call Hoax unless you are pretty confident. The final rule is optional, and I think the game works fine without it. Some characters have an immunity. These allow players to claim to be a certain character in order to gain immunity from another player's claim action. When a player does this, the other players are allowed to call Hoax on them. Additionally, players can only claim an immunity once per turn, so you should turn their character card 90 degrees as a reminder. And that's that. Hoax. It's one of those games that's harder to explain than it is to play. The sort of game where sometimes it's best to throw your players into a practice round to let them figure it out as they go, because it really isn't as tricky to grok as laying out the rules makes it sound. It plays really quickly, and after the first few turns, everyone should have a firm grasp of the rules. I would also recommend leaving out the immunity rule to start with, perhaps permanently. For me, it adds just a little too much complication to an otherwise pretty smooth system. It can also get a bit dizzying when you have two players simultaneously claiming to be characters, sometimes even the same character. Keeping things slightly simpler works better for me. I would say that unlike some other hidden role games that rely quite heavily on bluffing, I feel this game relies a bit more on memory. You need to keep track of which cards other players have shown you, which claims players have previously made, and which cards you have been forced to reveal during your investigations. So if you have terrible short-term memory, like I do, you may find it difficult to make plays with confidence. And if you have terrible short-term memory, like I do, you may find it difficult to make plays with confidence. Especially if you decide to play the game in a party over a few drinks. But despite that, being an accomplished dirty rotten liar certainly isn't going to harm your chances of winning. For that reason, it is a fantastic game to play if your friends are a right bunch of Christmases. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.